All right, fifth period. So let's bring it back together in 3, 2, 1, 0. So our third item, our last item today, is I want to introduce or set up the model activity that we're going to spend Wednesday completing. So at the very top of this handout, go ahead and title it mucociliary system and CF, or cystic fibrosis. Mucociliary system and CF. All right. So on Friday, we introduced this idea of a mucociliary system and how it was related to cystic fibrosis. Could someone remind us, what is the mucociliary system? What does it do? Yeah.
So like the hairs that's like prevent the bacteria from going into your lungs.
So it's the hairs that prevent bacteria going into your lungs?
Yeah.
Okay. And how does it actually go about doing that? Let's go to Kayla right here. Or pass if you'd like. It pushes the bacteria out. Okay. So something with pushing, something with hair, something with bacteria. What else is involved here? Zui, tell me about the mucus.
The mucus goes to the intestines of your airways, and when you breathe, it breathes in bacteria, and then the cilia pushes on the bacteria and the mucus.
Great. Yeah. So the mucus is acting like a net, like it catches the stuff, but then the cilia, the little hair-like structures we'll talk about, they push it out of our airway so it doesn't get into our lungs and spread throughout our body. So that was what the mucociliary system was. Does anybody recall how it was related to cystic fibrosis?
Oh.
What was one way it was related? Let's go to Shayla right here. How was it related? The mucus builds up and can cause infection. And why does it build up in the mucociliary system? Let's go to Tanvir. What do you remember? Why does it build up? Yeah.
I know this.
Okay.
It goes up because they don't get rid of it, and it stays, and it doesn't go down your esophagus.
Okay. So it's not able to go down your esophagus, it just stays there. And what's the major reason why? We haven't really asked why. Yeah, Kayla right here. Right, because it gets dry and it gets thick, and so you can't sweep it up anymore. So we're going to see right here on this diagram the different parts of the mucociliary system, and then we're going to set up where your model that you're going to create in a group will pick up on Wednesday. So if you can keep the pencil box in the middle of your table, I'm going to use a couple of colors. You don't have to use the same color as I do, but just so people have easy access, go ahead and keep that pencil box in the middle of your table. All right, fifth period. So, first couple things. So I drew this diagram, but just so you are clear about the different parts, I want to do a couple of labels. So, this is a side view of a person with the organs that are of relevance outlined. So, this tube right here down the middle, this is our airway. The other tube, as was mentioned by Tamfir, that's our esophagus. We've got our lungs right here. And then all the way down here, we've got our stomach. All right, so like was mentioned, inside your airway, the walls of your airway are lined with a mucus. So again, you don't need to use orange. Just any color will work. But the walls of our airway are lined with mucus. Okay. We also see mucus line up here. This is our nasal passageway. And then we see it in our esophagus as well. So that mucus that acts like a net for bacteria and viruses, substances that we don't want to make it all the way to our lungs, gets caught in this mucus, and then your body disposes of it. So right down the middle in between this layer of mucus, we know that air can go both ways. We can breathe through our mouth. And our nose. Okay. So in all those ways, your body, as the air passes, it catches things contained in the air in the mucus. And then several of you mentioned, so when stuff gets stuck in the mucus, normally your body, using these little brush structures that we'll talk about, sweeps the mucus, and I'm going to use the same color as the mucus to draw the arrow. The mucus gets swept up. And is swallowed through the esophagus to the stomach. And same thing here. So when it's swallowed through the esophagus, it can be destroyed by the stomach, including the bacteria, the viruses. It can also be sneezed out or coughed out. But the main mode is being swallowed through the esophagus to the stomach. If you haven't done so already, maybe just make a label for yourself. Whatever color you used, that's mucus. All right, so we are trying to understand how the mucociliary system gets all messed up. Why does the mucus get all thick? And so what we're going to do, we're going to zoom in to the cells of the airway within this box. So I'm going to draw a box just like that. That's where I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to draw some dotted lines. So we're zooming in. Okay. So this is a very, very zoomed in image of that portion of the airway. So just to get acclimated, so you know what part is which. So this wavy line right here, use the same color you use for the mucus. This is the top of the mucus layer. Everything underneath it is mucus. And if we follow the direction of the arrows on this diagram, the mucus should be flowing in this direction. Which means the air would go here. All right. So these are 5 cells that make up the airway. So a couple of labels here. So we've got 2 types of cells. One cell has these wavy finger-like structures. The other one does not. Okay. We call these cells ciliated cells because what are these wavy-like structures? These are the cilia that we saw in the video, right? So those are those hair-like structures. So it makes sense. We call the cells that have them ciliated cells. The non-ciliated cells, they've got these cool names. They're called goblet cells. Goblet cells. All right, so in each one of these cells, what do you think this circle structure is? No. I heard somebody say, what do you think that structure is right here? The nucleus, right? So the nucleus, there's a nucleus in every one of these cells that contains the DNA. It's where transcription occurs. All right. So within the mucus, we've got kind of this boundary between the mucus and the cells. We'd expect to find a couple things inside the mucus. So first thing we expect to find, if we're zoomed in this much, are bacteria. So bacteria stuck in the mucus. We'd also expect to find viruses. And that's the whole purpose of the mucociliary system, is to catch those things. All right. Other portions of this tube That's on the other side. This is a blood vessel. And quick recap, blood vessels, they run all throughout our body to bring oxygen and nutrients to our cells. So nutrients like glucose are brought to our cells, just like these, through the bloodstream. Okay. So I'm going to use a color to indicate the bloodstream. All right. So, a couple things that are also found across the bloodstream, the cells, and the mucus. This is all, they all contain water. I'm going to use just dots to represent water. And then make a note for yourself. Whatever color you used, that's water. Make sure you have water. Make sure you have water in the bloodstream, in the cells, and the mucus. Water is everywhere. All right. Go ahead and add Cl minus across your diagram. So in the mucus, the ciliated cells, and the bloodstream, we're going to indicate a few chloride ions. So Cl is a chloride ion. Which was absorbed from food and circulates in the blood. All right, 3 more things and then we'll clean up here. So on the mucus side of the ciliated cells, these membrane proteins are called CFTR. And these are our channel proteins. CFTR channel protein. On the bloodstream side, this is something different. These are called chloride transporter which is a carrier protein. So there's chloride transporters on the other side, which are carrier proteins, not channel proteins. Okay, so we've got CFTR, chloride transporters, and then the very last thing, inside the goblet cells. So the goblet cells, they produce something called mucin. Mucin, hold on. So mucin is produced by the goblet cells. Once you have that down, we'll resume talking about this diagram next class. So make sure to bring this with you. I will see you on Wednesday.